Hey, welcome to the Awake Space Astrology Podcast. And this is a very special episode. We're going to keep it short and sweet because we have some really big energy brewing for the 29th of December, which is tomorrow. And we are all going to wake up to some big headlines here in the United States. Now, I know there's 68 countries listening into this podcast. This is a global forecast. So normally I would keep this patron only, but I think from a humanitarian level, this is something everybody needs to know about. So hold on to your hats, folks. I have an astro alert for you. Okay, guys, hold on to your hats. This is big energy, and I think we're all going to wake up on the 29th to some big news, and it's multiple scenarios. I think we could see some retail failures. I think we could see some massive layoffs announced. The companies that didn't do it before Christmas will probably be putting it out there. We could even see a large company file for bankruptcy. Aggression-wise, I'm looking at China and Taiwan. I've already put that prediction in the Awake Space Patreon Discord, and that's because China's been building up its military off of Taiwan. And here's the good news, and if you live over there, and I know I have listeners over there, here's the good news. Any attempt to aggress Taiwan will not be necessarily successful, but it will be economically disruptive, okay? I don't see that this is going to cause World War III in the way most people think of World War III, and I do think it'll be economic. And I think we're looking at further breakdowns in the supply chain. It could also be that, COVID is just so bad in China right now that any moves they make is just going to be debilitating. I think we could see more missile tests that might go astray from North Korea. Tensions are really high between North and South Korea right now. That's brewing. And where am I getting these, directions from? Or where am I looking at these locations? How am I finding that? I am doing some techniques in mundane astrology that show me the direction of the activity. So from the chart I created, which I always use where I live, the direction I'm seeing is Asia. In the United States, Northern California and Southern Oregon need to be wary of seismic activity on shore. And I'm thinking more like up on the border between Oregon and California, because again, Mercury's retrograde. This is going to be somewhere we've already had an earthquake. I don't think it's going to be like bigger than a 6.0. It's more likely going to be in the 5.0 range when I'm looking at the astrology. I've gotten pretty good at predicting earthquakes over the last, 5 years. They are not easy to predict. And I certainly didn't specialize in those as a young astrologer. This is more like, stretch ourselves, stretch our predicting ability. Is it 100%? No. I'm thinking it's actually maybe a 45% chance, okay? So it's not a real likelihood. I would just be ready, and you're probably already on edge anyway because of the last one, but just be, it could be like aftershocks from that. They go out over a while. It will be a very active seismic period from now through New Year's just because of the lunations and what's going on. If there is a smaller earthquake over the next couple of days, especially like the 29th, that may indicate there's something a little larger brewing in about 2 or 3 days later. So just be mindful. There are things we can prepare for. There are things we cannot prepare for. Never think when I'm saying, hey, prepare, that if you're caught unawares, I'm going to be like, oh, well, I warned you. I'm never going to be like that. Okay? I'm never going to be like that. So we have big energy brewing, and we will all wake up to big headlines. I think also we might see, there's been a hell of a lot of snow all over the country. If temperatures decide to rise a little bit, and they might, then you could have flooding, because that's almost an eventuality. We could see power plant failures or transformers blow. There could also be more sabotage to those. We do not have a unified power grid in the United States. So all those trolls online who are like, they're going to take down the grid. I don't know why I always think they talk like that, but I do. No, America does not, the United States of America does not have a unified power grid. They're very regional. Okay. Some areas are more connected than others, but it's more like a lot of little things connected. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. We could see dam failures, and that could be just like the water is too low for hydroelectricity. Doesn't mean it's a breach of a dam, but we could see globally dams breach. So, just like there's drought in some areas and flooding in others. So if there's been a lot of flooding, etc. And this, I'm looking at maybe Central Asia. That could be a potential. We could see a dam failure. There's definitely infrastructure failures and big travel disruptions. I already know, we've got the airline issues, going on. However, this could be big shipping. This is commercial travel, and military transportation could be impacted as well. I think it's possible we could see a world leader pass. Now, I know everybody goes, Biden, and it could be. I don't necessarily think it is, but we could see some world leader either be deposed or there be an attempted coup somewhere. So keep your eye out. That's any country. It doesn't have to be a great power. It could be any country, a small country. There could be issues in Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, North and South Korea, Japan maybe. And there's certainly more problems happening in China. Again, these are things I don't really want to mention on TikTok. It's hard enough for me to get traction there. I don't want to get dinged. But yeah, my focus is on China. There's definitely going to be industrial breakdowns. We could see issues with machinery. If you work with machinery, be really careful on December 29th, okay? Of any kind of machinery. We could see more big transportation delays, failures in transportation as far as freeways, highways, all kinds of roads. We could see sinkholes. We could see buildings collapse. We could see explosions. And that could be in a lot of different scenarios. So, whether it's, again, due to power supply or bombings. There could be bombings. I'm looking more towards more like Central Asia for that, but that could happen in the United States too. There's a lot of nationalism up on deck, and we could see more nationalistic activities as people try to foment more dissension. Now, these are all mundane predictions, and these are things I'm like between 45 and 85% sure will happen. I am about 80% sure that there's going to be an issue between China and Taiwan tomorrow. I'm about 80% sure there's an issue with North Korea and South Korea tomorrow. I'm about 60% sure there will be like road and building failures in the United States. I'm about 90% sure we will see issues with power plants, industrial plants of any kind, manufacturing. We could see like a chemical factory blow up or something like that. And this is global, but I'm also seeing that in the United States. In the U.S., there's some oil refineries up in the Pacific Northwest. I have my eye on that. things like that. So oil, chemicals, that kind of thing, anything that can go boom. So yeah, these are the type of headlines we're going to see on December 29th. Okay, maybe December 30th if somebody's squashing information. I like to look to Reuters and the AP for as neutral a take as I can find. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a deep breath together. We're going to take a deep breath. And, honestly, we might see indictments tomorrow too. That would be something. We could see an indictment come out. Maybe not Trump yet, but certainly some of his cohorts or some other quote person who has been in leadership. It might be a very fascinating look on that. So let's talk about you. How is this going to impact you? Well, it doesn't have to impact you in a horrible way. If you're traveling, take precautions. Understand that you could be delayed. There might be a lot of accidents tomorrow. That is usually the case the first day of Mercury retrograde. I think we'll see accidents with big trucks, things carrying containers, retail goods, things like that. There could be issues with government conveyances, so like military equipment, even, how they'll travel between base to base. There could be, accidents involving those things. The airlines are still hosed. I don't know why people really felt the need to fly all over the place for the holidays, but they did. And I think we could see issues with hospitals as well. I do. I think we could see issues with hospitals, and we'll see more and more information coming out about, again, the lack of infrastructure. We might even see issues with an insurance company. So for you, just one deep breaths and have a good attitude. I like to say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That's what you can do. Keep some food and water in the car just in case, maybe you're stuck in traffic for a long time. Best case scenario is not taking a long trip. Weather-wise, we're going to have extreme weather, and we might see like a storm system that starts to cycle. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it'll blow in and then it almost stops and just keeps going. In Southern California, we can definitely expect things like flash floods and landslides and erosion events because we've got the rain in here. It depends on where you live. Just be mindful, be careful driving, especially tomorrow, December 29th. However, on an individual level, I told you in the Preparing for 2023 episode what you need to do to get ready for mid-January, because that's really when January is going to start energetically for us, okay? We'll feel that new energy then. Between now and mid-January, things are going to feel pretty much same old. You're going to be like, Lori, I don't know what you're talking about 2023. And I'll be like, just wait. And you'll probably see me doing videos going 3, 2, 1 towards mid-January. So now it's the time to go back over projects that have stalled, things you couldn't get to. I took off 4 days for the holidays, but also for me to be able to write. And all that I did was sleep because I was sick. I don't know what I had. I had no congestion. I had a headache and I slept. So it could have been COVID. I just slept. That's all I did for days. Like, I went to bed before 8 o'clock one night, p.m. I never go to bed before midnight. Like, that is my lifelong habit. I was so sick. So if I'm behind on things, that's why I was not feeling well. I'm finally feeling better. One of the clues of if I'm kind of feeling under the weather or something, you'll see me, I'm wearing my glasses, my glasses, not my reading glasses. The contacts are back in. So, yeah. So is it the end of the world? No, Anybody who tells you it's the end of the world or you need to freak out is full of shit. Okay. But there is concerning, and we are moving into very changeable energy as we go through 2023. There are big changes coming to society, to culture, to governments, to the systems that we have relied on. Those are needing to innovate and change. And obviously, we don't have the right kind of leadership in general globally to make the right kind of innovative moves to make this an easy transition. So it's going to be disruptive. But we can mitigate that in our own individual lives. And I will bang that drum forever. So the biggest thing you can do is take deep breaths, have some patience, stop thinking everything is an emergency when it's not. Like everybody is like, I gotta get there. You know what? So what if you're late? So what if you're late? Wouldn't you rather be alive than crash your car? Right? Why is it always so important? You have to be on your agenda, right? And I'm not saying you, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, in traffic, right? There's always that one asshole zipping through lanes, cutting people off. What is so important? What is so important? You know, what is so important? Especially, like, I had an ex like that. And it'd be like, it was fine if we were not early somewhere. It was fine if we were fashionably late. Why did you need to tailgate people? Don't do that shit. It's stupid. It's rude and it's aggressive. We don't need that shit right now. Okay? We don't need it. Take your time. If something isn't working, it's not working. Pivot. And stop thinking that world events are happening to fuck up your life. They're not happening to personally fuck up your life. They're happening because they're happening. And how you meet those challenges matters, because if you have a shitty attitude, it's going to suck. I mean, I'm not saying turn a blind eye and go, nothing's happening. I'm okay. You don't need to do that. But you can be like, okay, I see how it is. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do next. That's all you have to do. All right? That's all you have to do. It isn't about being toxically positive. Neither is it about being so pessimistic that you give yourself no wiggle room to be inspired to make the changes. And if you just quiet yourself for a few minutes, you will have an insight. Okay? You will have an insight. So, all right, this is just an emergency episode. I'm not going to do a Patreon shout out, but I am going to thank all of my patrons. And I want to remind you, if you haven't signed up for my Patreon, you've got a couple days left to do it to retain the 2022 pricing. I'm going to raise prices January 1. Okay, so if you're a current patron, you're fine. All right, it moves up to 5 and 15 instead of 3 and 11, January 1. All right, and I'm gonna have a new tier available as well. Alrighty, dighty, guys. Just be well, be aware, and reach out to community too. Don't try to take this stuff alone. Don't do that. Reach out to community.